Pyramid Head is a killer that doesn't get talked about enough. His punishment ability is one of my favorite powers in DBD to play with and against. So for today's bootcamp, we are going to be taking a look at common mistakes with his ability and how to fix them for easier downs. You know, of course, big kudos to anybody that comes out and actually plays in the bootcamp live on Twitch in front of an audience. Is very difficult as a Pyramid Head player since the beginning here. I'm really honestly glad we could do this. I've made what I consider to be the definitive Pyramid Head guide. And looking at this footage, we see somebody who understands some of the principles, but the practices are a little bit tough, right? So instead of running through the loop with our blade, we're actually stopping to try to aim. And that stopping to aim sort of ends up telegraphing the fact that you are trying to aim. It gives the survivors more leeway and less guesswork. So the big principle here is that you actually want to, good down right here. This was actually really good. But the big thing you really want to do is actually keep them guessing. So when you put your blade in the ground and you walk through the loop, it induces one of two things. They will actually run wide, giving you an easy M1, or it will keep them guessing. So you keep walking, and they're not sure when you're going to fire, and you can get that hit right there. And you notice when we fire, it's very smooth, just a turn and foul. There's no big moment where we're trying to stop, right? You don't want to give them a moment to try to double back or to try to see what you're doing. You want to keep dragging through, turn and fire. And typically you want to aim ahead of the survivor, and they'll usually run into it. There are, of course, plenty of cases where they may double back or something like that, but that's why you observe who you're playing against and see how they play as the match goes on instead of just guessing all of the time. Now, the other big thing here in terms of observation is paying attention. I know this, in this case, this Meg is not going to stick to a loop, so we actually don't fire through the loop or anything. We just drag right through and get a free M1. That's also a huge part of Pyramid Head. I know it's not necessarily as fun, but in a lot of cases, overplaying your ability is going to put you in a really bad spot. So remember to walk through the loop. Don't stop to aim. Don't stop your forward momentum. Continue walking through the loop. Keep them on their toes. Keep them guessing. When's he going to fire? And in some cases, you know, get right up on them and take the free M1 if they're willing to give that to you. Now, I do want to talk about some principles when it comes to aiming with Pyramid Head coming up to windows and pallets. One is you're not trying to aim at the survivor. You're trying to pressure the path that the survivor is on and their momentum forward, right? You want to make them feel like a shot could happen at any point. So instead of aiming at the survivor, you really need to be aiming at the window ahead of them, right? The idea here is if you're aiming at the window the entire time you're rounding that corner, he'll see that and he'll either vault it and call your bluff or try to, or he'll dodge and not vault it, giving you a free M1. But either way, you'll be prepped and ready, instead of trying to aim at the Jake the whole time. Here we see that with the Ada. We see that she may not go for the vault, but we don't fire until we see that she's committed to it, right? She was hoping that we would shoot and miss or something of that nature, but we didn't. We were patient, and patience is the key here. And we see that with David. We're not aiming at David at all. We're waiting for David to make a mistake. And that's the only thing that we could do there. Now, the other thing about Pyramid Head is taking these shots out in the open, and we saw this numerous times in this match. These out in the open shots simply do not work. First of all, you definitely want to keep your momentum forward when you're dragging your blade as Pyramid Head. You don't just want to stand still. That's giving the survivor even more distance on top of the fact that it's a missed shot. But here, because your turn left and right speed is really reduced, survivors can literally out-dodge this 90% of the time. So again, unlike Nemesis and unlike Huntress, he is very much locked into a specific left and right turn radius, turn speed, and the survivors can simply move faster than that. Any survivors that are paying attention simply won't be hit by this, and they're just not worth it to do. Other than those primary tips that I think are really applicable to a lot of players, I think the other thing is to not be afraid of pallets as Pyramid Head. You really shouldn't be. If your blade is in the ground, a survivor throwing a pallet is almost a guaranteed hit for you. Most of them aren't going to do it. They're going to continue to run the pallet, and that's why you walk through the pallet after them, and you get that M1, you get the easy hit, or you just continue to pressure them to the next tile. So be sure that you're not being too afraid of pallets. There's really no necessity for it. So in summary, be sure you are walking through loops with your ability, pressuring survivors and keeping them guessing on when you may potentially fire if you do at all, or take the easy M1 if you can. Aside from that, be sure you're not stopping your momentum to aim too hard and that you're actually pressuring the windows or pallets that survivors are running up to, even running through a pallet if you need to. Other than that, here are some celebratory fresh shots that were from that boot camp. Really proud of these shots, really proud of this player for coming through. Thank you for being a part of the boot camp. If you guys guys want to be part of the boot camp, check us out on Twitch, hang out in our Discord, or, you know, obviously let us know down in the comments below. And, of course, I'll be praying to the entity to see you guys in the next boot camp video.